Y'all got the Sunday exclusive of the Three Faces of Fantasy with myself, Mojo.
Jay the
Joe,
Truth.
and it's the guru over here.
Yeah, we're gonna one day get him to change his screen name so y'all can identify him as such. Yeah, we're deep in the thick of things right now. We all got mad points going up all across the board. Don't know who's winning, don't know who's losing. I'm winning, they're probably losing, not sure. But what's it looking like for you guys right now?
Well, you said the right thing. You're not sure. Well, go ahead, Jay.
All right, I mean, I can start, but I'm not doing too bad. Couple letdowns, but see that's the reason I draft my team to be as balanced as possible, so I don't have to depend on one or two people. But I'm looking good. Besides one league, I'm getting blown out, but
And guys, I'm sorry to introduce him late, but we also have joining us today, Jung Phil. You know what I'm saying? He
What's up
going
with y'all?
he's in a couple of leagues with us, so we're gonna give y'all our feedback and what's really going on. Now, I do want to point out, just yesterday I was talking to Jung Phil, JP will call, and the JP Bulldogs. He was telling us how he was guaranteed victory. He's playing one of each of you guys in different leagues. So how is that going, JP?
I plead the fifth.
We,
you better you
I
better
like to hear
be.
it from the guests.
You better
I,
plead the third, fourth, and fifth, my G. What's
I,
good? What's
Look,
happening?
look, he Jay the Truth, you said it earlier. It says it's some questionable people who you thought that was gonna really be breakouts starting. Uh it just week one it's really an exciting week, but it's not over yet. We still got, you know,
Nah,
tonight's game and tomorrow's game, so we'll see how things turn out. You
hey,
never know.
Mojo,
nah, you
is this
right.
the same person that was guaranteeing that was real boisterous, or is this a humble person? I'm tripping.
Oh
They're
wow.
kind of the same guy. They're the same guy, just a different day,
Oh,
different set of circumstances, so to speak.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
man, come on! I want you to bring that same energy that you
Oh,
was
you want
bringing
me?
earlier.
I mean, it's hard to say that right now.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? But
No, Jung, you good. I mean, you know what though? It's first week. First week, a lot of times, a lot of people that you think they probably will do well, but they come in, they slow first game of the season. I mean, but you gotta hold back on talking till everything done and over with. Cause I got four players still to play in that one league we in, and I'm already up on you. You might as well hang that one up, bro.
What about you, criminal-minded guru?
Well, I'm
What's your game
well.
look like with JP?
Well, I'm just saying. I'll be honest. I'm in 13 leagues, and out of the 13, I'm sorry, 12 leagues that count. Out of the 12, nine of them I'm up, and I mean, I like to be a real humble host, and I'd rather for our guests to be able to analyze the gameplay and what's going on. I don't want to. I just don't want to be that guy. I want to be real humble as a host.
Bliggity blah blah. So JP, tell us about your lineup. What differences? What do you think really made the difference between yesterday and the games actually being played? What changed?
You muted.
Mm.
Unmute yourself.
there we go. All right. Um, what changed? Well, what really changed was it was a few players that I wanted to really have in the game, but I was questionable at last minute. I thought Christian McCaffrey would have really blown out on the first season opening game. And I mean, it don't matter what fantasy league you're in, he didn't put up no points for nobody that was impressive at all. So a few things that I will change though come next week, just on looking at some of my standout bench players who are actually starters, who did really well. I seen a lot of bench players across all teams in both the fantasy leagues we're in, and I mean they really stood out actually better than starting running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. I mean, they look good. Like, and that's the rookies.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that's one
So
thing about the. I'm sorry, real quick.
no,
That's
go ahead.
one thing. That's one thing about the first week. You just get an idea of really how the teams are going to play. I mean, Christian McCaffrey hurt me in a couple leagues, but I had an I thought that he would probably start slow. Realized he only got 10 touches, meaning as far as run attempts. Um, don't give up on him yet. He's probably he got. But the thing to look at is that he was in the game. He was getting regular attempts. The kind of way the game went, he wasn't able to. They weren't able to really give him a lot of attempts that he normally does get. So next week after, he'll start to show up.
I agree
So
with you.
Yeah,
I
one
was
of the
going to say
things.
DeAndre Swift also. I mean, he's on my league, and for him to not be in the top, like our top running backs are always going to be McCaffrey, Taylor, Henry, Eckler. But where do you mention DeAndre Swift? Look how he did today. I mean, he blew some guys out for real. Like, and I'm talking about big name running backs before him.
yeah.
Yeah, so where does that put us? When you're drafting these guys. I had Derrick Henry. He did me dirty in the league. I mean, not that he didn't get any points, but for where I drafted him, the expectations were much higher. What about you, Mel? Who did you have today that maybe didn't live up to expectations?
Well, a lot of it also has to depend on the scoring, but I think the only person who didn't really produce the way I wanted them to was probably AJ Dillon. Now he was still nice, but he wasn't as nice as I wanted him to be. But one of the things I was gonna say was, I know a lot of times, a lot of coaches and players they tend to get caught up on the projections. So I wanted to find out, what do you guys think about the projections, and is that something that you utilize as a variable in determining how you're going to set your lineup?
Well, in the first week, that's what I do because, as I said, I really don't know what everybody's going to be and how the teams have changed, new coaches, new game schemes. So I just use I do set my lineup based on that for the first week. But after that, it's not that important to me. I look at my own stats as far as who's playing who, what defenses have injuries, that kind of thing. Um, and I'll use that before. If it's a toss up, then I will just go with the projections.
Okay. Okay.
What about
Yeah.
you, JP?
Me personally, it's some particular players. It's still too early to call though. Uh, I'm sitting here questioning if I want to put McCaffrey in next week or a different
Don't question
running
that.
back. But I
Wow.
have a good. I mean, I have another running back who is pretty good too. So,
He's not
but
as good.
Wait, what
um,
running back do you have that's
Right. I want to know what
yeah,
kind of running back you got. That's going to replace
Swift,
McCaffrey.
Swift.
No, sir. You can run them in your flex or your RB2. But I mean, just
Right,
me,
right.
I don't typically go by the projections too much. Obviously, you got to week one because it's like, well, as a matter of fact, I went so far against the projections. Um, Actually, I went with the projections. That's a lie because the projections were that Cleveland's defense was going to score more points than Buffalo. Now I'm in a slugfest with someone because I left Buffalo's defense on the bench. I would have probably won the week had I had Buffalo's defense in, but I sat them on the bench in favor of Cleveland. But that was more of a personal decision. I just felt like Cleveland had a better opponent. I felt like Buffalo going up against the Rams. I thought the Rams would do more than they did. And so I went with my gut and went with Cleveland playing Carolina. Uh, that being said, it went along with the projections, but even if Cleveland, even if Buffalo was projected to score more points, I would have probably still gone with the Cleveland defense just because like I said, I use it as a guide maybe, but I'm not putting too much stock into any of the formats, Fox, CBS, Yahoo, because all of their information is about the same that I can access anywhere, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I went against projections a lot this week, just because I kind of like what Truth was saying earlier. I draft my team to keep it a balanced team, and therefore, I try to put all the algorithms out of the window for the first week because the way I look at it is, I know just as much as they know, and they know just as least as I do. So I trust me more than I trust quote unquote external experts.
Did that
And
work out for you in any instances this week?
very much so. Yeah, it did. I had some projections that told me to uh, play AJ Dillon over Hilaire, and I played Hilaire over him, and I was very thankful for it. Same thing with Waddle and with ASB, St. Brown. So yeah, the projections, I don't buy into them. I figured we are talented enough to make our own projections, and who's to say somebody else projections gonna be better than ours?
Right.
I was going to say something about something that I don't know if I made the right decision still, but I took Godwin out because it's his knee injury from last year. He still wasn't known to be playing today, but then I finally got last minute word that he is playing, and who I replaced him with was Claypool, who did a horrible job in Pittsburgh tonight. I mean, and I can not only give him like Trubisky, the quarterback, there's some issues
He's
there.
Trubisky.
Trubisky.
He's lit.
But I honestly feel like I might have made the wrong decision. I should have probably left Godwin him because Claypool only put up 9 points for me, and that's not good. And Godwin, I mean, he could do 2 runs and boom, there goes 9 points past that. So I gotta look at more depth charts and see who's going to be more healthier and better start. Projections are not always right though.
Very true. You'll get used to that. We've been playing for a long time, but we realize a lot of the analysts. I mean, I'd like to see how many of them won championships. Don't get me wrong; they have access to a lot of stats, but fantasy is just like football. It's any given Sunday. You can have somebody who normally puts up big numbers come in and give you a dud. Somebody who gives you a dud come in and put up big numbers. So you just gotta pretty much take the best. In the end, it's an educated guess, the best educated guess you can make. You just do as much research as you can.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So I was lucky enough to be part of a couple of fantasy trades over the last
Yes.
couple of days.
Yes, you were.
That and most people aren't making trades that early in the season. But I did come across a couple of occasions where somebody wanted a player that's on my team, and I tried to make the most of the situation. So I actually traded with JP here in one league. We traded.
You gave me Sanders, which I'm happy.
No, I gave him Mr. Lazard or Lazard, however you want to say it, for Devontae Smith.
Oh yeah, Devontae
now,
Smith.
the odd part is Lazard didn't play, so he got 0. But in case nobody watched the game, although the Eagles did win, fly Eagles fly, Devontae Smith got me 0, and I had him in my starting lineup. What's your guys' feeling on making trades before that first week starts?
Oh, I'm all for it. All 100% for it. If I don't draft right. But going back to what you said, I really try to make sure that I, do whatever I can to make sure my team is balanced because I don't like to be dependent upon that. However, if you do miss out on the tier 1 RB or whiteout and you pick up an extra quarterback that you want to trade out, then it works out. But it really comes down to as long as your team is balanced from the draft, then that first week you don't need it. However, we do know things happen, and sometimes you can look back. Like I saw one of your trades, you had a four-man trade, and I was just like, how he pulled that off? And but and then when I looked at the teams, I figured, okay, it helped to balance out both teams. So you may need a little bit more on the RB versus the quarterback. So yeah.
Yeah, I look at early trades like that. Pretty much, you're looking at people you would have rather drafted, and that the other person would have rather drafted the person you have. So you kind of trading picks in a sense because you really don't know what they're going to do yet. I wouldn't worry about Devontae though. They'll get that together.
Will it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so.
Who would you have picked to replace him? Who was on your bench who had points? That's what I want to know. Did somebody on your bench who had points? Because you say he had 0. So all I want to say is I gotcha because you took less points than what you would have been projected.
Actually, if I remember correctly, I had Mooney in the lineup. Prior to the trade. So I didn't have Lazard starting anyway. I had Mooney in the starting lineup, who ended up getting 1 point. Thanks for the heads up on Mooney, Maul. Jay. Jay was the one talking big on Mooney preseason, and I'm like, wow, yeah, let me draft this guy. Drafted
nice.
1 point.
Mooney's gonna be all right, man.
Yeah, he's gonna be
I would have 1 more point than I have now. I'll say that.
All right,
as
so
long as you don't lose by 2, I mean by 1, then you good.
Right.
Mooney was on the team, but that means so you still had the other player that was on it on your startup. So who would have been his replacement?
Oh, you mean like next week? Who would I replace Devontae Smith with?
Yeah.
Nobody. I'm going to leave him in the lineup.
Okay. Was there? I wanted to know, was anybody on your bench? I mean, I'm about to go look myself.
No. There's nobody on my bench that I would
have been replaceable for him. Okay.
That I would put in ahead of him. No, not in that league. He's my flex for right now.
Well, who does Philly play next week?
Good question.
And who does Chicago play next week? Because I think.
Well, I'm not putting Mooney in, sir. Chicago won the game. Let's keep that in mind as well. So it's not necessarily a matter of him, the team not doing their thing. They obviously did their thing. And Philly next week. Next week is Minnesota.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Just got done, doing their thing. So it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely leaving Devontae Smith in. The next best player on my bench is probably Nyheim Hines. Can't really count on him. Not really sure what I'm going to get yet. And I'm sure, today I think Philly was really out there trying to win the game. I think Jalen Hurts ran a lot more than you'll see him run in most instances.
Thank you.
You're not going to see that all year. Hopefully, I don't want to see that all year.
Can we talk about AJ Brown?
Let's talk about AJ. Hey,
10 and 13.
Yeah.
100 and what? How many? 144.
155, baby.
155?
Yeah. Not that everybody on here is Eagles fans, though, JP. So we got to be respectful.
Not at all.
To the guru over here.
He got a lot of Eagles players over here.
Hey, I may not be a Philly fan, but I do have what I call a Philly cheese stack with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown.
Oh yeah, that's right. He got the whole squad and the defensive something. You got like
no. Hold your horse.
Yo, he's a low-key Eagles fan, y'all. Watch it. I bet if I start singing the song, he starts singing with us. You know what I'm saying?
I think Jalen Brown's strong in combination this whole entire season is going to be Hurts combination Sanders and Brown the whole season. Like them, that's a dominant force. You got a runner and a passer, and they both good. They're really good.
Now here's my thing about Sanders, and they'll tell you that I'm really big against people like Sanders, Akers, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, never on my teams. But here's my problem with that. when you get to the goal line, you pretty much have four options. You got Sanders, you got Gainwell, you got Scott, and of course you got your number one running back, who is Jay Hurts. So that's why I'm always out on Sanders, because while he may be good for a good pop off here and there, you never know where it's going to be, where it's going to come from. So how do you predict that? And that's why I say no. I abort when it comes to Philly backfield at all times.
I can dig it. 4 different Eagles scored rushing touchdowns today.
4. That was big. Last
Yeah.
time that happened was in 1961.
I wasn't born yet.
I wasn't even right.
I missed
I
that
wasn't
one.
even born.
I was a twinkle in my grandmama's mama's eye.
I don't think my daddy even had my mama's number yet.
Doing all this, look at you studying.
But with that being said, so it's just it's too much inconsistency when it comes to the Philly backfield, and I go on record saying the number one running back is the quarterback.
So I brought up Mr. Smith, Devontae Smith, as I'm not going to say he was a huge letdown, but definitely a letdown with 0 points. Who else out here today really kind of came up short? I think, Jay?
Besides McCaffrey, for me, give me 1 second.
Well, let me jump in while you're thinking. For me, Njoku, and that's because the way I adopted my team, I went skills. Well, he's a skill player, but I went quarterback, running back, receivers heavy, so that I can have that balanced, lineup throughout the season. And so I kind of punted on tight end. So I got Njoku late, still thinking, okay, no D Watson. Of course, you got the dual backfield, but you still need a secondary receiver outside of Kareem Hunt. And I felt like Njoku should have that, especially with the quarterback, with the new quarterback, or I don't know. I just kind of felt like Njoku was going to give me a little bit more than what he did, and so he was a letdown, Mr. Njoku, if you're watching.
Well, I tell you a few players. I got a few. One you mentioned already, Mooney, but I'll give him a pass because of the weather. But not really.
You are an NFL player making millions of dollars.
You know what I'm saying? This is what you're supposed to do.
I was disappointed. But we could go Pitts.
That was a wet field, though.
Oh yeah, Pitts. Yeah.
Pitts kind of came through late in the game a little bit, didn't he?
Not in fantasy.
Oh,
Y'all forgot Allen Robinson too. He did horrible on Thursday.
Well,
T. Higgins, and he got concussion today too.
But he got hurt though.
Yeah,
he got hurt. You can't blame him for that. He got hurt.
Before we can, it's still a letdown.
You better be smart. It's a letdown.
Got 0 points.
And I'm gonna go quarterback Aaron Rodgers because he got sacked 4 times, but he's gonna be in the locker room looking at his O line tomorrow, like, what I'm saying? You're gonna be giving them the look.
It's not as bad as Joe Burrow having 5 turnovers.
Yeah,
that's two. Yeah, you right about that.
Against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh, Burrow, he still had a decent fantasy day.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, he did. Tuna had a hell of a.
Who picked Pittsburgh to win that game? That's what I want to know.
Nobody. Pennsylvania.
Nobody.
That was a pure luck with both those field goal attempts being missed. Are you serious? And you bunked the ball.
Now, I will say I didn't have Pittsburgh winning, but in one of my leagues we have IDPs, and I did have Minka Fitzpatrick, who got me 38 points when he's projected to only get about 14. So good looking out, Minka.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw Mr. Henry under the bus right now. The one league I was in a position to get him, and I had never had him. I'm like, I'm getting him. He gonna come out like a Mack truck this Sunday, and he came out like a pickup. Like, come on, man. Yeah. And didn't pick up anything. I mean, it was a very underwhelming performance. You figure Eckler too.
Yeah.
Look at your top 4 running backs. And your top 4 running backs, really, Jonathan Taylor is the only one that lived up to expectations.
Very true.
75 points in the CBS fantasy.
Well, I guess it depends on who you consider the top 4 running backs.
Well, the consensus 4, so to speak, sir.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about, draft night. We're going off of last year and projections, but the real deal comes down to playing. Once they get on the field, that's the only time you know what's going to happen. So
Right.
I'm depending on Tom Brady, which is my last player left to play right now. One of my leagues.
Last I checked, Mr. Brady looked like a 62-year-old woman.
Man.
Wow.
And that was just like last week.
Wow.
He
Well,
looked like, he looked like Queen Elizabeth's older sister last week. So I don't know.
Wow.
I had Tom Brady was putting up 100 points in fantasy leagues last year, though. 100 points.
I
You know what I'm
apologize
saying?
for that, Mr. Brady.
Yeah, me too, Mr. Brady. No Brady.
Anybody
slander
gonna
over
apologize to the Queen? Never mind.
there. Too early.
nah.
Wait, too soon.
Well,
Too soon.
So who lived up to their expectations in your opinion?
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
I'll just say that. There's no question about that.
The Buffalo defense for me.
Tuna.
Yeah.
So Tuna. How about Tuna?
Tua.
Tua. Yeah, I'll call
Oh,
him
that
Tuna.
boy
for sure.
Tuna again.
Tua. He lived up. Like I watched his whole entire offseason, just videos watching him, and he looked really good in preseason. I think it was he played the last game. He got a little play time, but he didn't get that much. But just coming out the way he was playing today, he looked strong. He was healthy. Hill was down there with him, turning up. So it was a good game for them. I'm glad that they came out and beat them too, like that. Started off strong season like that. Dolphins is always underrated too for some reason. I don't know why. He's been underrated
They
since.
suck, bro.
What's my guy who played in the movies? Dan Marino when they had Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
I like Christian Kirk showed up.
Oh, he did? I missed that one. He did?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
JP was talking about putting him in his lineup next week.
Listen, so I said, oh, he's definitely going in my line. That was the other player. He's going in my lineup next week. I was like, wow, he did a great. Like he had a big game, man. He had a big game. He's definitely in the lineup next week. Landry too. Landry actually showed out too.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
I will
What
say
about the
something.
rookies? What about the rookies that showed up today?
What's his name? The one for
Josh
AJ Brown.
Dotson?
AJ Brown, right?
No, he's not.
Isn't he a
rookie.
rookie?
Tennessee.
Oh, that was his first game in Philly playing for
Eagles
Philly. Okay.
uniform,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's a rookie. He's a rookie to that team, though.
yeah. No,
Josh
that's
Dotson.
not how it works.
Like, that's not how it works. But yeah, there were a few. I mean, London, 74 yards. Not bad.
You gave me him too. Remember? I got him at the last minute. Thank God too. Like,
Yeah, I traded him I put him on your team.
yeah.
I mean, he's going to be. I like to see how consistent the person is going to be. I think Juju he's seen what he got. I think he got like 7 or 8 targets over there in KC.
surprising.
Yeah, he's loving
Or
KC.
6. Yeah, he got 6. First season game. But I'm liking the usage. I'm gonna keep him in there. Saquon,
surprisingly good. I mean, if you expected him to be as good as he was before injuries, then he lived up to the hype. I wasn't expecting anywhere near that. Couple of others that really kind of surprised me a little bit. I know a lot of people, they talk about the cheetah and they talk about Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. I wasn't that high on them in the draft because of their new situations. Wasn't sure what I was going to get, but they both showed up today. big time. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, but not that pleasantly because I don't have either of them on any teams.
Wow. Yeah. Well, in one of our leagues, I did good with Devontae Adams today. I love stacking up. So I had him in Carr. And while Carr did have some picks, he did, come away because Devontae Adams can't score for the most part unless Derek Carr is tossing the rock to him. So that did work out. It helped balancing it out a little bit higher than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to Kyler Murray, but he disappointed me today.
Well, when you don't have no weapons, I mean,
yeah,
look what he has.
I was watching that because Tom Brady's going against him tonight, right?
No, he just played.
I know. And Tom, I have Tom Brady as my
Oh,
quarterback.
you mean
That's your quarterback, right? In fantasy,
Yeah.
so I was watching that too.
Yeah,
Let down.
But you made up with Jonathan Taylor, though. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Yeah,
And I still got 3 more players to play.
Yeah, you do. They some you got some decent players too to play and stuff.
Yeah, there's no making up on my team, bro. Like you show up or you don't. My other player did his job and then some. That don't mean you get the slack.
Right.
No, sir. No. So,
But you was better pitting than Barrow though. You should have put him. I would have put him over Murray, bro.
Who, Burrow?
Yeah, of course, bro. Why not?
No, not me.
Not at all.
Murray is a dual
He's
threat.
a defender. Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl last year. They was coming out strong.
And he lost.
But he played a good game though. He played a good game, and he put up what 20 more points than what you did with Murray, right? In your fantasy, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it was the game. The game. Games go the way they go. You never know how games go.
But
I don't know how it's gonna go beforehand. And me, if I had Burrow, first of all, that would be great to have Burrow and Murray on my team and still have a real nice team. But I would have probably gone with with Murray too. He's just because he's a dual threat, and in most non-standard leagues, that a rushing quarterback is going to get you some bonus points that you may not get from a Burrow. And Burrow, yeah, he went to the Super Bowl, but it's just I still got some questions surrounding him.
Yeah, but see the reason, just so you know, the reason I didn't play Burrow, because when you have a running quarterback, if they both have a mediocre game, you usually have a much higher rate of touchdowns. I mean, and it's also not just passing yards. If he's not able to pass, he can run. So I'm going to go with the dual threat quarterback in that case. And also, I picked him first. So I just pretty much the first week, I leave all my starting picks in. I try not to change them out. Whoever I picked in the draft, I just leave them in for the first week.
I wish I would have done that this week.
Yeah, I'm not leaving T. Higgins in though.
Well,
I would. He's still not. He's
disappointing,
man.
Yeah, he was disappointing today.
It wasn't him that was disappointing to me. Burrow. Burrow was the one throwing the interceptions. T. Higgins didn't throw no interceptions, did he? I'm sorry. How many interceptions did T. Higgins throw?
He still disappointed me though. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Aaron Jones. Oh.
Well, I mean, the whole
Aaron Jones do today. That's one name I haven't seen yet.
Nothing.
But you know what? But if you take into consideration the whole Green Bay offense was a little stifled, keeping in mind they had 3 of their offensive linemen out for today. They didn't have the number 1 receiver who they had, planned on having with them. So the whole game plan changes, and when everybody knows that you're going to go Aaron Jones or to AJ Dillon, they can go ahead and drop 8 or 9 up in the box, and it makes that difficult. Plus, when you got 8 in the box on the defensive side, it's gonna affect the quarterback, no matter who it is, even the great AR-12. It's gonna affect him as well. So, wow. I think he did as best as he possibly could have done, and unfortunately or fortunately, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Green Bay. They start off slow. They started off slow last year. But
what about their defense?
It's non-existent.
Should have been better.
Who you
Don't
think
bet
had the
on 'em.
worst defense today?
Don't bet on them.
I'm gonna personally say Philly for them to allow 35 points,
Didn't they have
and that's my team, and we
We had
won.
a defensive
a
touchdown,
defensive
No,
touchdown?
and
we should have did
won.
better. You do better. They should have did better.
I agree because I'm an Eagles fan. I'll agree with you on that. But the worst defense. I mean, what did Kansas City just drop on them? Like 50 points on on Arizona.
Here, my answer is the New Orleans Saints, and the reason, and I'm not saying that 'cause I'm a Bucks fan. I'm saying that because the expectation was a lot higher. How do you let the Falcons get up into the place and score like that at will? So
Yeah.
and have you on the brink. So to me, the biggest defensive letdown was actually New Orleans. I expected Kansas. Well, a lot of people expected Kansas City and Arizona to have a 50-plus game. You kind of look forward to that, but New Orleans was supposed to just be lights out, and
They
were
won
lights.
though, right?
They were. No, they lost to Atlanta.
I thought they won.
Wait a minute.
I'm pretty sure that New Orleans won their game today. I know that.
I'm not gonna say they won. I'm gonna say they didn't lose.
That's petty. That's petty. They won. New Orleans won.
Oh yeah,
man.
by 1 point. Freaking level 1, guys. Level 1.
Right.
The other game, like, so I'm disappointed in Tennessee. Is it Tennessee?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're playing the Giants, probably one of the bottom 4 teams in the whole NFC, and you lose. And not only that, you let Saquon Barkley, who hasn't been healthy in 2 years, come out and put up almost 200 scrimmage yards on you. Like that to me was a setback for them. Meanwhile, your running back does nothing, and he's drafted like second and third in most leagues. So.
Or the play that Tennessee pulled off, looking like the Marshawn Lynch game, where it was 3rd and 2 at the goal, and they handed it off to the tight end instead of giving it to Henry in the backfield, and they ended up losing
happened.
the ball
It
in the
wasn't the first
touchdown.
time, and it won't be the last.
Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Number 2 running back in the game, and you hand it to the tight end, and he needs to run 2 yards. That doesn't
But
make
we're
sense.
not going to talk about handing it to tight ends because we could get into that. Did anybody peep how New Orleans used Taysom Hill as a running back? Even though they have him listed as a tight end, this man had 89 rushing yards.
I ain't gonna lie. I did have Taysom Hill in one of my leagues in the tight end slot, so I'm not mad at that.
Tell me this. Have you ever been in a league that – never mind. I'm not even going to do it.
Don't do it.
Go ahead.
Well, I know of a league, right, where and this is something that comes down when we was talking about the preseason and everything, comes down to you got to check the scoring system, league integrity, things like that. So it just so happens that the scoring was not on par as it should be. So there had been no category in there for a tight end running the ball because it's an anomaly. It's something that you do not see often. So in that situation, from what we could ascertain, the tight end in this league got 1 point per rushing yard. So you can imagine at like halftime or in the 3rd quarter, I'm hitting up the guy who's playing the guy that has Taysom Hill, and he has him in the starting lineup. And Taysom Hill has more points than anybody across all of fantasy at this point because he had 89 rushing yards, 11 receiving yards, and an 11-yard touchdown. So he's got almost 100 points as a tight end with only 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. Needless to say, we reached out to the commissioner. It's being corrected, but those are the kind of small details that can really derail a season because had it gone unchecked, that guy's got a golden ticket to the Super Bowl if the New Orleans Saints continue to use him as a running back.
Yep.
Most tight ends look horrible this week. I think Everett was probably the only tight end that actually looked really good. Besides Hill. But Everett looked good, though. Most of them, though, they did put up low points.
Look terrible.
They wasn't coming. I don't know. This it seemed like they
Kelsey
wasn't
never
reading the
was terrible.
assignment correctly, or there was either linebackers that was just right there on them, but they just wasn't reading assignments correctly. You could see they was lost out there.
Doug, as you play, you'll realize there's a reason why people only go high for the top 3 to 4 tight ends.
Right.
Right.
That's what I was just going to say.
Outside of Kelsey, Pitts, Waller,
Andrews.
Kittle.
Kittle. You mean Brittle?
You mean Andrews?
Hey, hold on, isn't he out? No, he's out. George
Yeah,
Kittle.
he's out.
He's
But
gonna always be out.
But he's one of the top. But he's one of
Yeah,
the
he's in the top
I know.
five.
I had him for
He's
2
in the
years.
top 5.
Yeah,
Top
but
7.
other than that, tight ends don't usually put up a lot of points. That's the reason why. That's the reason why in that league, sometimes in the league, we'll try to give tight ends a little extra, like maybe over 50 yards, they'll get a small bonus, maybe 4 or 5 points.
Right.
So that's the reason we believe the 1 point running situation was scored.
No position in any part of fantasy gets a point per yard. Are you
Very,
kidding me?
very true. Very true. But we believe,
Well, that's one thing I will say. I'm 2 of the leagues that I'm in that you all might be a little familiar with. I had Young Wei Koo in every, probably at least
You went
about
also
8.
a kicker?
What? I had Young Wei Koo in about 8 leagues this week, and in all leagues except for 2, he gave me about 18 and 19 points, except for 1 league where I only got 7
Can't
because of the
complain.
scoring.
One of y'all got Knox. Who has Knox?
I got Knox in a couple of leagues, actually.
Okay. You got
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
got
I'm making making people raise their hand. I'm not raising my hand no more, man.
yeah, man.
You got knocked by Knox.
But see, in that league, I was drafting for my points, so I'll
Where'd you
pick
pick
up
him?
any tight. I'll pick up any tight end at the end of the draft. So that's the only reason I have Knox. I
I
really
was gonna
don't.
say you didn't pick him early in the draft, right? Like,
Nah, I
Nobody
picked him
picked him up early.
end of the draft because I just needed a tight end because I missed out on the top 4 or 5. So
yeah.
at
That
that
was just
point,
like y'all was talking about last week on y'all episode about the draft positions and when now like I don't know if it was Mel or my uncle who said about now you have to draft wide receivers early. You know what I'm saying? You have to get those guys early in the draft when you're normally looking for the running backs because those are going to put up your most points for you throughout your whole season. But these wide receivers and you got the AJ Browns now who are putting up 155. He's going over 1,000 yards. There's a whole bunch of wide receivers I can see going over 1,000 yards easily this year.
14.
Easily.
I got him at 1582.
1582.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
120. That's 120, 130 targets probably, right? You thinking? Maybe more.
About, give or take.
And he should probably bucket. I think his average when we did the math was like, what was it, like 80%, Uncle? Right? Earlier? It was
yeah,
about
he's going to
80%
catch the ball.
catch on his
He's
targets.
going to catch the ball, and he's going to get yards after the catch.
Well,
That's
I
what
think
makes him
today
so
was a
dangerous.
really telltale sign. I mean, not to rub it in, Mojo, but, D. Smith walked away with as many points as Lazard, and he didn't play. So what I'm trying to say is with that very confusing backfield, you don't know who's going to be. You really only have one. I didn't mean, leave out Goddard, but you really only have one. So, yeah. So
I think you're going to see Pascal. I think you're going to see a lot more diverse offense moving forward. I think we really just need to get that game out of the way, get the W, get it out of the way, and you'll see the more diverse offense like you saw in the preseason.
Hold on, I'm confused. Who's Mel? Who's your team, bro?
You don't have one.
Well, you mean my NFL squad?
Yeah, your NFL squad.
Tampa Bay all day.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What you doing next year after Brady retire?
Oh, this year we drafting. Well, I mean, I've been a Buck fan since '92, so I've been a Buck fan before Brady. So I've been a Buck fan through the Yuck year. So, die hard.
Yeah, what y'all gonna get the quarterback from the Georgia Bulldogs or something like that?
I can't tell you.
It is number
It's a
2
secret.
seed.
It's a secret.
No, apparently
Okay.
from the rumor mill, you heard it here first. I hear they're going after Dak Prescott. Yep,
What?
heard it
Y'all
here
gonna
first.
take him from Dallas?
No.
Breaking news. I'm about to put a ticker across the bottom, right?
That is not a
They gonna end up with Mason Rudolph, man.
No, hey, they might go for Trubisky. I mean, you can spell it, you know. Spell it your way, I'll spell it mine.
So here's a question. What about waiver wire pickups this week?
Ooh.
There you go.
I
Well,
know who I'm picking up.
Oh,
Taysom Hill. I'm picking him up first. If he's getting a point for every yard he gained, I'm picking this guy up tonight. I'm about to do some backdoor stuff to the wire, bro. What?
you got a couple
Oh, man.
others. For those who didn't believe in Dodson, he's for real. Tyler Boyd, he's not a household name. However, he is productive. He got in the end zone today, and with the concussion of T. Higgins, we're not sure what his outcome or what his status is going to be. And so that's somebody definitely you want to take into consideration. Of course, the injuries that took place today, you want to, all those taken into consideration with how you're going to make your moves for next week.
Dotson's off the list. I already have him, so y'all can forget that.
Well,
one.
in that league, watch your mouth.
I'm in 12 more.
Right.
Right. I know. I seen this guy's phone. He had like 6 of them up on his screen at one time. I'm like, wow.
6.
Yeah,
Rookie.
man. Up on the screen at that particular moment. But yeah, a couple of standouts.
rookie
quite
Pacheco
some
looked
letdown.
good.
Yeah,
Rookie Pacheco on Kansas City. He looked good.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Anybody
Yeah.
in your starting lineups, guys, that you're definitely yanking next week, regardless
Claypool.
of matchup.
Claypool all day.
Who should have never been in there, but
Yeah.
who am I yanking?
Maybe Allen
Nah,
Robinson.
I did well this week. I'm good.
How would y'all feel about Allen Robinson being benched?
Allen Robinson was never draftable. He's on my list of 5 people you avoid at all times.
I think they said he was like a late round.
David Montgomery, Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I've got him. I've got Allen Robinson in one league, and it's because the computer picked him, and it's a total points 4 league. So your starting lineup is like 14 people, and so yeah, and I have Cooper Kupp in there. So yeah, it don't matter. I'll get the points one way or another. But other than that, yeah, I'm not drafting Allen Robinson.
I'm noticing a trend. Allen Robinson, David Montgomery.
Whoa, buddy.
Wow.
Hey, another letdown. You know what, man? I wanted to talk to you about that. So, you talk trash about Mr. Montgomery. He had a very mundane day. However, Mr. Chubb showed up at least well enough in my league.
I have Chubb.
Miss Chubb. You better have him.
Yeah. I believe in Chubb. I got Chubb in like 6.
And I was looking at making a trade with you. I'm gonna give you Montgomery, and you give me
Chubb put up 100 and what?
You want to give me Montgomery?
Let's do it. Chubb put up 100 and something like crazy numbers, like right?
Yeah, he had a great day. But the thing is, with Cleveland, him and Kareem Hunt had a pretty good day.
Right.
I have to
And
get
they
rid of
always
Mike.
will, week in and week out. That's one of the running back tandems where, yeah, I'll draft either one of those guys. Maybe I'll draft Kareem Hunt a little later. But, yeah, I would draft either one of those guys as at least a flex.
Mike Gesicki got to go. I can't use him for Miami.
Be patient, sir.
You
No.
should never have him.
820 game about to come
Do you say that in a mean way? What? You say that because you wanted him, or
No.
I don't see him doing something for me this year.
All right, here we go, fellas. We got that nighttime game coming. People don't want to see us and hear us.
So who you got? I got Tampa tonight.
All right, yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
Tampa.
Who you got tonight? Who you got tomorrow?
Tampa, Tom Brady.
Tampa.
Who you got tomorrow?
Denver. But it won't be a blowout. I got Denver by 3 or 4.
So all right. So here, this is the thing. In the league, Jung is talking about. So who you have to play? Who you still have to play?
I'm playing Dallas right now. I'm playing.
I mean, in the league that I'm playing you.
I'm playing you right now.
Yeah, in that league, who do you still have to play?
Tom Brady.
All right, I got Land, Evans, and Sutton.
I know. Be quiet.
So let's do the math real quick.
Brady needs to put up 120 points.
It's 176 to 164. I'm up. All right.
So,
all you gotta say after if I win, because you might win, I just want you to say JU the truth, and it hurts. That's all you got to say.
I'll bet.
That's only from the other day. It's not a big deal.
He's gonna be so sick in about 5 minutes when he look at the screen and see Tom Brady touchdown.
One of y'all gonna be sick because if he throws it to Evans,
right? Evans can't have the ball tonight.
What about, all right, so Mel, what about the other league? What about
only got one and he's on my bench.
You said what, Mo?
What about the other league? You playing JP in the Faces of Fantasy League.
He demolished me. I guess
I don't even know.
That one?
Hey, Mojo, I'm gonna answer you like this. I don't even know who's left to play because I stopped looking at that around 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Hey, man, I wouldn't sleep on him. He still got Jerry Jeudy, man.
Oh, snaps. You know what? You're right.
And all you got is Sutton. All you have is Sutton. So,
Jerry Jeudy got to put up 200 points.
Yeah, at least. JP, do not do the concession speech just yet. We're going to save that for another time. I'm glad I'm not playing none of y'all this week because my team.
I see you next week. No, I'll play you next week.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it again. Again, yo, this is great. I got Tampa Bay tonight, Denver tomorrow. I got it. But I'm not, like Mel said, I'm not going to call it a blowout because I called the Eagles game a blowout, and look how that went. But, hey, for real, everybody that tuned in, thank you for tuning in. Again, this is Mojo. You can check us out on Tuesdays nights, the Three Faces of Fantasy at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. YouTube, Facebook, also Instagram and Twitter. You can check me out, Mr. Mojo, across all of those platforms. Mel, where can they find you, my friend?
You can find me here, like you already said, Cali New 4 on Instagram. And you can find me every Sunday night taking out the trash and then bringing it back in Monday morning. That's where you
Stop bringing it back in. Yo, Jay, where can they catch you at, Jay?
They can catch me here on Tuesdays and Sundays. We'll be doing Sunday, just going over the games like we just did and looking at who got blown out each week.
Bet. And JP, who just released the album only less than 48 hours ago, I believe. Where can they find you?
Find me on the Young Phil right there on the screen, JUNGPHIL, pretty much all platforms. And that album is called Memories. Make sure y'all go cop that.
Bet. And we'll have them back again throughout the season. Again, thanks
Appreciate
for tuning in.
fellas.
Whether you're watching this live or whether you are viewing it at a later time, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. For now and forever, Three Faces of Fantasy, we're doing big things. We look forward to seeing y'all again. Until next time.
I'm bad.
Yeah,
still
that worked out all right. I like
He's
that.
still live.
Oh, it's not ending. Ooh, good.